lounging, son.
All right, welcome back to the Comic Lounge. My name is Ryan, and with me today, I have a really awesome indie cartoonist. I have Anthony Bartolacci with me, and he is somebody that sent me some books for the mailbag episodes, and just blew me away, dude. I mean, one of the books that really stood out. We'll be doing this later on as a creator commentary. Is Silver Fox Golden Ops, which is just the idea, the cover alone kind of like won me over, but then the book in itself is just so great. But anyways, welcome to the show. Excited to chat some comics with you today, man.
Thanks for having me, and glad you liked the book. I was pretty hyped when I made it, so
Yeah.
it's
So
recognition.
yeah, dude, awesome. And let's I mean, if anybody that's watched this, I say this every time too, like, but this is always the first question I ask when I'm meeting somebody the first time. What started your love for comics?
The funnies, just like the
Okay.
newspaper, Peanuts, Garfield, Hagar the Horrible, Blondie. I say Calvin and Hobbes would be like Bill Watterson's my number one of all time for everything, forever. No one will ever do it better.
I know.
He's the best.
I love that. I love that
Yeah.
about the author, dude. That's awesome.
Bill Watterson is the man. And Calvin and Hobbes was not in any of it, wasn't in my newspaper growing up. So
Okay.
I actually found him in the school library. They had like one or two of the books, and the like scholastic little book fair things at school. They always had like Calvin and Hobbes or whatever. So yeah, definitely Calvin and Hobbes.
That's
Comic
awesome.
strips.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I don't hear that often that's like the entry point for people. I mean, I know it is, like, obviously, like when I talked, like even talking to you, and I think I've talked to somebody else where I think that probably was, but in terms of comic books, like I always think of like my first actual comic. I don't think of like reading the funnies, but my grandma used to like always cut out the Calvin and Hobbes for me and like have it whenever I'd come over to her house and stuff like that.
Yeah, my great grandparents used to cut out little strips of the Lockhorns and give them
Okay.
to like, this is you, just to stick it to the other one.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, comic strips I don't think get enough shine, don't get enough love, especially nowadays. I think it's, not many people. I mean, I'm sure there's still a lot of people that read newspapers, probably not the younger generation coming up, but it's just not the same. Obviously you have webtoons and stuff like that where you can get kind of comic strips, daily strips like that. But there was something fun about like being a kid and like, clipping them out. I used to like glue them into a book and shit like that.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. But when did you get into like actual comic books? When did that start?
So growing up, I'd watch like X-Men, Spider-Man, like all the like 90s cartoons, just infatuated with them. And I'd want to get comics. I didn't know anywhere that sold comics around me, but also my parents were like, you got to read real books. So I just kind of didn't. Read my Calvin and Hobbes, read my funnies in the paper, and that was kind of it. And then on my 23rd birthday, I just moved to Hoboken, New Jersey. Got a job in New York, and I didn't really know anybody. And like I said, didn't know anybody. Nobody's around. I went out to the bar. I just watched the Phillies and kind of got hammered by myself, and I stumbled home. And on the stumble home, I bought the Amazing Spider-Man omnibus and wrote a note, like, you could do like a little note for yourself and Amazon, like for a gift. So I just wrote, dear sober Anthony, happy birthday, love drunk Anthony. And I totally forgot that I did that.
That's
And
awesome.
like 3 days later, I got a package at my apartment. I was like, what is this? And it was a gift to myself from myself.
Mhm.
And I was like, oh, this is great. And that's kind of when I started to actually read comic books.
That's fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
Now, and so you get into comics, like, and then what did you like? What started to become like inspirational for you, like creators, maybe specific runs or whatever that kind of prompted you to want to create your own comics?
I drew a lot as a kid, like I'm sure most kids do, really. And then I kind of veered away from it. Not that I didn't love doing it. It's just everything else kind of like life. And it's like, you need to get a real job. Like, you're not going to draw for a living or anything like that. So, went to school, kind of whatever. was working, and then like 7-ish years ago, I'm just find myself doodling in my work notes. In meetings, I would draw people that are in the meeting that I just kind of didn't really like. I'm like, I'm gonna draw you looking like an ass. Because I kind of thought they were an ass. And I just kept doodling, and it kind of spiraled out to the point where I was drawing pretty much every day or close to it. And then it just kind of about more and more and more. And then I was kind of getting down on myself because I'm just drawing this like fan art, which is fine. But I was getting bored with my own stuff. I could see it getting better, but it was not, I felt like it wasn't going anywhere. It had no end point or nothing to work towards. It's like, okay, draw this picture, post it online. Okay, it's done. And I was just bored of my own stuff. And then when shutdown happened, I there was actually a comedian that I know from New York that was like, "Hey, I saw you're doing these drawings, and I wrote this script. Do you want to maybe make this into a book with me?" So I did, and it was a Back to the Future story about Marty McFly showing his son what the DeLorean did. It was really funny. At the time, I was like, "This looks great," and in retrospect, I'm like, "This is terrible." But yeah, that was the spark. I was only 3-ish, yeah, like 3 years ago. So yeah,
Yeah, you produced quite a bit since then too, right?
yeah. From there, I did some short things, but then Babies on a Plane,
Yeah.
which is about these babies that turn into monsters on a plane. We sold it for Fox Golden Ops, so you showed, and then the most recent one was Checkers on the Beach, which is written by another comedian from North Jersey, Nick Fierro, and I made that into a book, which I thought was I love this script. It's two seagulls just
Yeah.
piece of shit birds bickering on a beach. And I read it, I was like, this is great.
Yeah, I think I said it in the mailbag episode. It reminded me of like the fucking pigeons from Animaniacs.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
oh.
They're just assholes to each other.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I love this so much. Yeah, they're to each other, to anybody else. Yeah, there's the crab, which I know you read,
Yeah.
just gets the brunt of it. Yeah, so
No, your stuff's really fun, dude. Like you have a style that reminds me like of something that like it reminds me of animation, kind of. You know what I mean? Like there's a very like animated feel to it, both visually, but also like the gags and stuff and the movement that you put in there. Like it flows like almost like it's a cartoon.
Thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
I try really hard to bring out that energy. That's something that I'm constantly trying to improve on, because yeah, I just think like the static, just when you do see cartoons, like we were talking about the paper and the comic and the funnies, like a lot of them now kind of morphed into the like on Instagram, but it's just like a men's or women's bathroom sign type character with just like a word balloon, which sometimes fine because it like the writing's funny, but like I want that crazy, energetic, manic, almost like Looney Tunes feel. Yeah, I just think that's fun. I like the goofiness of it.
Yeah, I think there's not enough. I've talked about it before. Like I don't know if you've read any like Kyle Stark's comics or anything like
I
that.
just looking to get some actually.
Okay, all right. He's fucking so funny, dude. And like I feel like there's not, and I talked to him recently and I was like, there's not enough humor in comics. You know, like I get that it's like maybe it's not for everybody, but when it's done
Yeah.
and it's done well, it's phenomenal. Like his Peacemaker that just came out last week was one of the funniest fucking books I've read in a long time. And like it's not just that, it's like all of his stuff is just he's got such a good comedic timing, and like I feel like it's very hard to do. And you did it very well, like in the Silver Fox Black Ops. I think that book was just, I mean, I was laughing, dude, as I was reading it.
a lot of that definitely I was doing I did stand up for like 7 years
Okay.
in Jersey and New York, and then a little bit in Philly. Mostly just open mics, ran a show, ran an open mic. But you meet a lot of people and you see things differently after time. Yeah. And I have some friends that are just hilarious, and you just learn a lot from them. Yeah, timing is everything. It's a lot harder on the page than it is. I mean, it's really hard on stage, but putting on the page, and like you can't control how
How they
fast they read
are
it.
they fast? How they
Yeah,
flip the
they read it in
page,
the
the
right
timing.
order.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. So you got to get a little bit more creative. Not more creative, it's just different creativity when it comes to getting people to read it in the order that you do. Yeah, and then like Silver Fox, like there's a couple instances where there's just panel, 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 and I'm just trying to slow people up basically to feel like the tense, kind of awkward or uncomfortable vibe, which is one of my favorites.
Yeah. So writing comedy, like, did that kind of help in terms of writing comic book scripts? Because I know you've worked with other people where they wrote for you and you drew the book, but like writing and drawing your own stuff, did that? How was writing comedy? How did that help in terms of writing a script? Because I mean, it's two completely different things.
Well, I would try to write like shorter form jokes if I was like standing on stage. So I would have a hard time. I had a really hard time with the Babies on a Plane and the Silver Fox coming up with a long story. So I'd like have an idea and then write like chunks, like, all right, these are all the beats I want to hit. And then just jump from jump to jump, jump, jump. And then I'd have like one big file with a bunch of rectangles. And I literally just drew and wrote story as I went. It was like both of them were like stream of consciousness type ramble, essentially. It's like rambling notes with just points I want to bump into on the way. It's like a drunk stagger home, and you're like, all right, I got to hit pizza spot. I got to hit pick up some Gatorade, like get me home. And that's kind of how they go. It's not like for the Checkers on the Beach where my buddy wrote it, he actually had a script. That was the first time I ever worked off of a script. Well, I guess that first one I kind of did too, but it was just the first one. I didn't know what the hell was going on. But that Checkers on the Beach, yeah, he had a script. It was like a regular thing, which I can't do for myself. If I just try to do that, it just kind of, I keep going in too many directions. Like I like drawing, kind of Marvel methoding myself,
Yeah.
sort of page by page, to kind of come up with a story. Drawing the pictures helps me. Like, okay, like I want them to say this or whatever.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, especially if you're doing the book yourself, do you need to write yourself a full script? I know some people, I have spoke to some cartoonists where like they will write themselves a full script, but I feel like that's rare, because like, is it really necessary like to tell yourself what to draw? Like you already kind of know, but maybe in terms of like direction. But who do you like draw influence from, like comic book wise? Like what are you currently reading? What are some of the books, the writers, artists that you kind of draw influence from?
Scotty Young's I Hate Fairyland. I haven't dug into the next part where Gert's an adult yet, but that first run of, what was it, 20 issues, I think is amazing. I love the insanity. I love the goofiness. That is, I thought, really, really great. Right now I'm reading Jurassic League by obviously Daniel Warren Johnson and Juan Gideon. I'm also reading Curse Words, the Charles Soule and Ryan Brown. And I just finished the most recent issue of One Punch Man that Viz just put in English, which that I got into One Punch Man like 3 years ago randomly, and I was like, this is fantastic. I love the attitude of Saitama and just his nonchalant nonsense. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, I have to read that. I haven't read that.
Worth it. I think that, yeah. Now I don't read too much manga, but that one I've been keeping up with.
Yeah, manga is something I haven't got into up until the last like I think like right before the pandemic, so like 2019. It's not the first time I read it, but it was the first time I actually like read like an actual book and like
Mhm.
started picking it up. But yeah, I mean, there's so much to get into it.
So
I
much.
mean,
Yeah.
people talk about getting into comic books being hard, like if like your 30s, late 20s or whatever, and like all the history.
Yeah.
Um, but manga is like, to me, it's worse because it's
It,
like
oh,
there's so it's
endless.
yeah, and it's not like they're all connected either. So it's not like if you want to read like superheroes, you can just get like a team book and you can get all the heroes kind of in that book. Like there's just, and then the volumes, how many volumes there are of some series, like it's
It's
fucking daunting.
daunting.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I keep up with One Punch Man. I've read Akira, which holy shit. That's as good as everyone says. I think it blows the movie out of the water. I think the movie feels like it's like good, 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 good. And then it's like, oh no, we have to end this. And it just kind of slaps on an end, kind of. At least that's the impression that I get.
Yeah.
The comic just amazing. And Ghost in the Shell,
I haven't read
which
Ghost in the Shell.
you gotta really pay attention. I mean, not that I'm not paying attention when I read, but it's
I know what you mean. I
yeah.
know what you mean because there's times where like you're reading and you're like you're absorbing it, but you're not fully absorbing it. I don't know. That's kind of like the way I compare. Like, there's been times where
Your
I'm
mind
literally,
goes for a second,
yeah,
you are gone. Like,
dude, there's literally been a time where I was reading the comic and it was going to be for like one of like the weekly episodes or for a
yeah,
video or whatever, and I read it and then I put it down and I remember sitting there like, what the fuck did I just read?
yeah,
Like, I
yeah,
don't even remember. Like, I don't
yeah.
remember this whole, it's like I jumped forward in time and just erased everything and I had to go back and read it again and I
I
didn't
did
even
that like
remember
three
anything.
times. Yep.
Yeah.
Because if you don't finish like a chapter and you need to go back and you're like, oh, I'm just gonna pick it back up. No, you're not. No,
Yeah.
you you might just refresh yourself. Like last time on Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah. Ghost in the Shell is definitely something I need to dive into. Akira, I've only read the first book, so
Oh
I'm probably just gonna reread that when I get all the other books. Because my shop, like, I could get it online, but I'd rather just get it from the shop I work at. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So
yeah.
we have one, and then 3 through 6, and for the longest time, two's been on
Oh,
reorder, and
oh.
so like I'm
It,
just like whatever. I'm not in that much of a rush because I have
sure.
plenty of stuff in my pile of books to read. So, but it is something I want to read. But like Naoki Urasawa is really good. Like Monster, 20th Century Boys, those are really good. What else is good? Like there's just a lot of good stuff that my buddy has kind of turned me on to. And it's such an exciting world of comics because there's so many different genres that they hit. You know?
Yeah, I feel like way more than American stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, just every things that I don't know.
So I know we're going to get into it a little bit deeper when we do the creator commentary on Silver Fox Golden Ops, but maybe just kind of leading up to that, can you just share a little bit about like the idea behind the book? Obviously, like I kind of get what you're riffing off of. I mean, if people don't, they're idiot. Like
Yeah.
I don't know how you don't get it, but I would just kind of want to hear like your thoughts on like why this book, what inspired you to do this one.
Well, I loved Archer. Love Archer. John everything John Benjamin voice is amazing. That guy's the man. I like the kind of action spy nonsense. I loved James Bond as a kid. So like all that stuff kind of made sense to me. And I like the unconventional old people being the heroes. And yeah, I just kind of mushed it together into one. That way I could get like action, but then I could also get officey kind of vibes, bickering, problems, little nuanced things, interactions. Yeah, I like the variety I could have. Like there's a reaction with there's a couple encounters with people that are just in the nursing home. One's a nurse, one's just the doofy old lady with the blue hair. Then you have like the office stuff with Joe and just kind of back, who's kind of like Q when it comes to James Bond esque. And then you have the action where Flo and Pearl are just blowing shit up and bickering at the same time because they're like sisters. So like obviously they love each other, but at the same time they're gonna bust each other's stones pretty much nonstop about everything. Like
Mm-hmm.
everything bothers the other one all the time, which I find enjoyable.
Yeah, no, this I said it. This fucking book is hilarious.
Thank you.
From Joe taking his his, his pill and
Oh yeah, that
hulking
was one of
out.
my first ideas
It's
actually.
so funny,
I was like, I
dude.
need to make this work.
Yeah, no, it's just there's so much humor in it. There's so many like little moments like where you're not even really like saying what happened, like when they're waking up in the morning
Yeah,
and they're coming out of their
yeah,
room and like they had a guest in their room, you know,
yeah,
but one of them has
yeah,
like four different guys coming out, but you don't
yeah.
say what happened, you know, like, but
You don't
it's
need to,
insinuated. You don't need to.
right?
It's just there's all those kind of jokes in here, dude, and it's just like I said, like the cartooning is just so strong, dude. Like, is this all digital that you're drawing or traditional?
Yeah,
Like, okay.
um, yeah, which is helpful because I work in New York and I live just outside of Philly,
Oh
so
wow. Okay.
yeah, but I'm only in the city like once a week. But that train commute, I'm able to like bring my iPad and work on sketches and layouts and stuff. And then back when I'm home, I draw in Clip Studio, which is awesome because I mean that's what it's made for, illustration and comics. So it's like sets all your pages up, everything's in order, which is fantastic and super helpful. Which is actually right here. Bam.
Nice.
So yeah, but I gotta have to do all my like digital inking and colors and stuff all on Clip Studio. And
Nice.
then I doodle nonsense on my work notes and calendar, and I'm constantly just scribbling ideas and goofy stuff. I know like my wife sees like a scribble on a page. I'm like, this is gonna be my this is gonna be my next layout. This is gonna be my next thing. She's like, that looks like just nonsense lines. I was like, no, it makes sense. Like, believe me,
Yeah.
that just goes on the digital canvas to help
And
me
then
out.
you do print on demand, right? I mean, that's how I got your
Yeah.
books. They came from Amazon. So how not how what was the decision behind that to do the print on demand with them? Is that the way every single book has come out for you? Was that the
Yeah. So yes. And reason being is I didn't want to front the money. Like I don't have a following. There's no, it's not like like other than my grandmother, like people aren't gonna buy my books because I'm a horrendous promoter of myself. um, but yeah, I don't have a following, but I wanted it in print. That was kind of important to me to have a physical something to hold, which I didn't think much of before. But then when I got the Babies on the Plane the first time, that physical copy, I was like, I get it now. Like, I
yeah,
want that
dude.
printed. So to not have to front that money. And then also another huge perk is that you could get it anywhere in the world because they just print it on like whatever local printing thing that they have going on in whatever area you're in. So like yours were probably printed on the West Coast. Mine were printed
Yeah, mine were printed
in
in
Jersey.
Vegas.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Mine are printed it somewhere over in Jersey, like right over the bridge. So yeah, accessibility and then just not having to put anything out of my pocket, really, and then still being able to have it in print. I mean, I'd love to be able to print, I don't know, 200, 500, whatever, and send them out. But I don't know that people would buy them. So I don't want to be stuck with 300 issues of my book.
No, no, of course. And then there's space and there's the time of packing, especially if you have a full-time job. I totally
Oh
get it. It's
yeah.
just it's interesting because like I don't see it often, you know, like with indie cartoonists like going straight to the
I mean,
print
you're
on
not going to
demand.
make any money. Those I have them. I think I make like literally pennies for each one. Pretty much all the money goes to Amazon. I mean, they also do all the work past this. Yeah, they get everything, which kind of sucks. Yeah, I just want it out, and that's the easiest way to do it.
How have been sales? Like have you gotten like people like randomly finding it? Like How does that work? Or do you, and also do you choose the paper stock, all that kind of stuff? Is that something that you do, or Amazon just automatically does stuff?
No, I picked all that. Like I picked like the matte finish. I picked I made them 7x10, which is one of their standard sizes. Like this is close to like comic book standard size. So yeah, you pick most of the stuff. And then like if you don't hit a certain page number, you can't do some things like you can't put anything on the spine unless you hit like at least I think it's 100 pages or something. And then, well, what was the other question? Sales?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen them like have a little bump, and then it's like flatline, and then like a little bump. The checkers on the beach one was helpful because Nick, who wrote it, he definitely has a handful, like a little following comedy wise, and got a good amount of sales from that way. Which I think might have gotten a couple of my other books, couple sales, but it's not that much. Like I said, I'm a horrendous promoter. Yeah, so I would definitely need some help in that regard. So yeah, I don't do myself any favors.
Yeah, I mean, you should, dude. You got the talent, dude. Like, you should. People should be buying your stuff. You know what I mean? Like,
Thank you.
I definitely think that obviously, like, print on demand is a good way to kind of get it into people's hands. But Kickstarter is something maybe you should think about. Like, you already have a finished product. That's the best thing, is that you do have something that's already done, and you can fund the printing that way, so you're not eating the cost of that. That people love that. People love the fact that it's done, because like there's so many like horror stories of Kickstarter where like they're using that to fund the creation of the book. Like they don't even have any of the art done, and that's fine too. Like, but not, it doesn't always work out. Like
that feels really ballsy.
I have a Kickstarter that it's been 3 years, dude.
3 years?
3 years. Actually, no, I think it started before
they still
pandemic.
tell you it's coming?
Yeah. Like everyone's finally, dude, I waited. I was like, listen, dude. I was like, where the fuck is the book? You know, like, come on. It's a 32-page comic. You're telling me that you couldn't get it done? Like, I don't understand. You know, I said, I'm not trying to be a dick, but like,
I think you're past that at that point.
Yeah,
definitely fair.
So that's why I think that like, like you have a book that's finished, you have the art, you have it all done. All you need to do is send it to a printer. So it's definitely, I like, especially something like this, dude. Like this is fucking funny, dude. Like this book should be in more people's hands. Like I said, Kickstarter is just like, I think it's such a great tool for indie people like yourself. And there's so many great printers now out there that like help get the word out, And then also you should be sharing your Amazon link more, because like I didn't even know, like when you reached out to me, I was like, I haven't even heard this dude like post any comic book stuff. And then I open it, I'm like, what the fuck? Why didn't I know about this? Like this is really good stuff.
I feel weird like spamming the bejesus out of people.
No, dude, it's called hustling.
Yeah.
Look, dude, that's all I do. Every single day of the week, except for maybe Saturday and Sunday, I'm posting a video, and I'm posting it in multiple groups. I'm posting it on my page. I'm posting it on all social media. I don't care if I fucking.
Yeah, I need more of that mentality.
Yeah, because look, dude, like they say, a closed mouth doesn't get fed. You know what I mean? So
yeah, squeaky wheel gets the oil.
Yeah, I just think. Look, I think that yes, it can be annoying, but not if you're only posting once a day. I think if the people that post like 4 or 5 times a day, like that's where I'm like, okay, I gotta mute you right now, because like this is too much. Yeah, I think everybody listening, watching, like I'll drop a link to where people can get the book. But like I think you should maybe hit some cons, like especially if you are able to fund it through Kickstarter, you print a little extra copies for yourself. You can go to cons and stuff and meet people, that way. Because
oh man, I was actually gonna go to one a few months ago, and it fell through. I had a bunch of copies ready to go. It didn't happen. But the con thing for sure. Yeah, and I would definitely be into a Kickstarter. I gotta push myself and hustle a little better for sure. I get antsy. I'm like, I need to make more. When I was showing you my graphics tablet here, I have my next story that I'm working on.
what is that?
I don't want to flash you. I don't want to flash you what I was working on. But yeah.
Well, can you talk a little bit about what you're working on?
Sure. Yeah. So, like I said, comics, funnies, short kind of strips was my first love interest, where that started. So I wanted to do something short. So it's Peanuts, not Charles Schultz Peanuts, literal peanuts. Uh,
Okay.
and they're just three goofy peanuts that are like going around the house doing nonsense things. I meant for each story to be like a page or less. And I accidentally made the first one 2, 4, 6, 8 pages, which is fine. The goal is to have like 100 to 150 pages of short stories, strips, and then like 1 page goofy nonsense. I'd explain it, but it would spoil it.
Okay.
Just single pictures, like full story on 1 page, one picture, like little to
Yeah.
no words, kind of thing, like an ad, I guess, sort of, but not. Yeah, so I just want to do a bunch of things with these little peanuts that's action packed and goofy, and the same vein as the Silver Fox, like definitely like a lot of bickering and shitting on each other, which is, so yeah, somebody asked me, who I gave a book to them, and they were like, the dialogue for the old ladies is like perfect. Like where'd you come up with that? The answer, it's me talking to myself. That's all. Like I'm basically just shooting myself down and yelling at myself and like going back and forth like a ping pong. So yeah, it's more of that vibe with their own characters, their own little world.
Yeah, do
Uh,
you? I mean, even like releasing a few of those, like like an Instagram.
I'm
Or
going to.
okay,
The first section, yeah, I'll put it out online as I go. And then after that, I figured out I'm gonna have it in format to the point where like I can print it and like good to go. But I'm definitely gonna release it in bits, at least the stories, and then all the middle
yeah,
pieces.
yeah,
I'll
because
go
like that can build up a hype too. You know what I mean? Like
right.
if you were, let's say hypothetically you're doing a Kickstarter too. You know, like people can follow along and then they're seeing it. And I think most comic book fans are like, us, like we want it physical. I
Yeah,
don't know, like I stare at a screen long enough when I'm working. I'm not trying to like stare at a screen when I'm reading. Like that to me
I
is like very
do.
difficult.
I love a physical copy, but at the same time, like I do subscribe to Comixology because I could just run through so much. It like if I'm not drawing, or if I'm just like tired, like I need energy, like I'm going for a game to draw. So like by the end of the day, it's like oof, out of gas. But like reading, just more ideas, more, it's like, oh, this person lettered this way, this person this way, and I can see it like subconsciously. It definitely sinks in because I look at my own stuff. I'm like, oh, I definitely unintentionally kind of swipe that feel or that approach
Mhm.
from someone else. Just more. It's a constantly learning. It's the only way I feel like I'm gonna get better. Draw, and then when I'm too tired to draw, read.
Yeah,
It's
I
like,
mean, look, I've heard people say like the difference between reading like a physical book and digital is like when you're reading a physical one, like it'll calm you down more, and like
yeah,
staring at a
yeah,
screen is like a stimulant, you know?
I
Because I
yeah,
know that at night, like if
that,
I'm looking at my phone, like
yeah,
I'm tired and I look at my phone for a little bit, I start waking up and then I can't fall asleep right away, and
yeah. There's truth to that for sure.
so I think that's why I like try to like say, because I read at night, like I'm not trying to like stay up
Same.
till 2 in the morning. So
No.
um but yeah, dude, I'm excited for this Peanuts book. I'm excited for anything that you're putting out because I really dig your work. I'm excited. Well, when we go through Silver Fox Golden Ops for a creator commentary, that's gonna be a blast. And
Oh yeah, for sure.
thank you so much for doing this, dude. It's been a pleasure talking with you. And for everybody listening and watching, can you tell them where they can find your stuff and find you online? And I'm going to drop all the links down below.
Yeah, awesome. Mostly Instagram. It's just at _ATB3 _. And then on my Instagram, I just post silly stuff that I'm drawing or whatever, but also the link tree in there has links to all the books. So yeah, you can find everything right in one spot.
All right, cool, man. Well, again, like I said, thank you so much, and we'll do this again soon.
Awesome. Thank you.